What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 377 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, number 11 Philadelphia ranked, and of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's your boy KB coming at you from Underground Studios, and joining me like he does each and every week, it's Coach Deej.
On a hiatus until Monday. Summer ball practice starts on Monday, so I'm hyped. Very short training camp, I guess, if you want to call it. 3 practices, and then we're right into our first tournament next weekend. So I'm pumped for summer ball. I'm technically head coach. One of my assistant coaches from spring is joining me for summer ball this year, and I'll be in charge of an offense. Like truly in charge of an offense for the first time since coaching my first year, where I pretty much just said, hey, let's move it to a guy that we like a matchup and then let's go. So, getting in that offensive bag this year.
As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, we are not together. We are not in Albany. We will dive into that for sure. And if you want the true blue ultimate crash out, go listen to the beginning of the Getting the Whole podcast this week, because your boy crashed out, and it was quite honestly very fun. We are going to recap the three-peat for the 2025 National Lacrosse League champion Buffalo Bandits, and the absolute Hollywood tour that those boys are on. Don't forget your roots, boys. Remember the podcast you came on before you were famous. Chase, remember the podcast that you listened to before every flight. We'll dive into that. We will also obviously get into all of the PLL action as Albany is this weekend. We will break down all of the roster moves. We will discuss the news and notes I pulled from the preseason media availability with all the coaches and players. We will look at the rosters because we have the 19-man rosters for this weekend. And we will also get into our Albany picks of the week, as a new PLL pick season is here that will fully include the man, the myth, the legend, Hoots' picks all year long on the show. Plus, we will dive into CJ Kirst and Cornell capturing their first national championship since 1977. And the Tuaraton winners were announced tonight as well, so we will also touch on that. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. When I tell you, Deej and I have one of the funniest content concepts that you will see in lacrosse media this year, you've got to be prepared for it. And you got to follow us on the socials to see it. OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. We're going to keep a tab on his Ayo what the fuck meter. But obviously he's still Chief Vibes and Smiles officer, so we'll see how it all levels out. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Follow Hoots at Hoot Sports Media. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow, helps more people find OTB. Plus, if you're an Apple Podcast user, check out the channels tab in Apple Podcasts, and you can favorite the Underground Sports Philadelphia channel, and that way you get updated on every single podcast on our network, and you can fully immerse yourself into the Underground universe if you so choose. But check out the channels tab on Apple Podcasts. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every single week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It's all on our YouTube channel. We're at 1,065 subscribers, which means we're 35 away from our next 100 subscriber milestone. So keep subscribing, leave a like on the video, drop a comment in the comment section, and click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. And subscribe to the OTB YouTube channel, youtube.com/@OTBLaxPod, because if we get to 100 subscribers, Deej and Hoots, OTB College Show coming next season. So subscribe to both YouTube channels. And this show, guys, is presented by our good friends over at Shootout For Soldiers. They just had their first weekends kick off, and they've got another event this weekend out in San Diego, California, May 31st going down. Still time to register on their website. If you go to shootoutforsoldiers.com/events, you can also see all of their upcoming events from Long Island, Massachusetts, Ohio, Canandaigua, Virginia, Colorado, Baltimore, and Kansas City. Shootout For Soldiers is truly one of the coolest aspects of the lacrosse community because it's bringing community together with the sport of lacrosse to help support our nation's veterans. To request more info, find out how to register, find an event, get involved, become a sponsor, donate, volunteer, and so much more, go to shootoutforsoldiers.com/events or visit the link in our description and get more information on Shootout For Soldiers and see how you can help out your community or bring Shootout For Soldiers to your community. And we thank Shootout For Soldiers for being a proud partner of the podcast. Once again, that's shootoutforsoldiers.com/events to find out more info on Shootout For Soldiers. Deej, they're like Thanos. They are indeed inevitable. The Buffalo Bandits are not one, not two, but 3-time National Lacrosse League champions in a row. The three-peat is complete. Our NLL Finals wrap-up brought to you by our friends over at Buff. Guys, you know we love Buff here at OTB. It's going to keep Deej and I protected from that summertime sun all season long. And guess what? Buff, they're the official, neckwear, wristwear, bodywear of our favorite show, Survivor, which just announced their season 50 cast. And truly, Buff is the best in the business. It's a company I've known about for a quarter of a century, which is crazy to think about because the first time I got introduced to Buff was way back in the year 2000 when Survivor first started. Go visit Buff's website, linked in the description. Gear up, get protected from the sun. You know, it is truly imperative. If you're outside, you're taking the kids to a lacrosse weekend for the PLL, you've got a summer lacrosse tournament, you're sitting out watching the kids play, you're going out and playing, you're doing what I'm going to be doing pretty soon with my hashtag Hot Boy Walks. You got to make sure you're protected from the sun and obviously year round from the wind, the cold. Protect your body. Do it with Buff. Use our link in the description. Shop everything Buff has to offer on their website, including those Survivor capsules. Their National Park capsule is absolutely gorgeous and so much more. And we thank Buff for being a proud partner of the podcast. Deej, they did it again. The Buffalo Bandits are 2025 National Lacrosse League champions. They are inevitable. Just an absolute blitzkrieg of a second half in that game 3. And you know what? I'm happy for the boys. And that's what matters at the end of the day. I'm happy for Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, Chase Frazier, Ian McKay, Tahoka, Kluch, Kyle Buchanan, Cam Wires. Like, the whole team, like, they're filled with very awesome people. And at the end of the day, that's why I'm happy for these guys. Like, there's been teams in the past, and even if I removed, like, them playing against the Eagles in their quest for a three-peat, like, I think a lot of people would say the Kansas City Chiefs are not a likable team. There's a lot to dislike about the Kansas City Chiefs. When the Patriots were going on their run, the Patriots were not a likable team. When the New York Yankees were going on their runs in the early 2000s and the late 90s, not a likable team. The for me at least, the San Francisco Giants, when they were going like every even year, not a likable team. The Buffalo Bandits just have likable guys, and that may be just because we know them on a more personal level than the average fan. But I'm genuinely happy for these dudes to like continue cementing their careers and being remembered when it's all said and done as some of the best to ever do it. Not saying we called it, but we actually did call it on this show. One of us here said Ian McKay would be NLL Finals MVP. How you doing? Keep it moving. Shout out to the boy. Absolute demon. Couldn't be prouder of Mickey and the way he played. Chase Frazier, don't forget us when you make it big time and go to Hollywood and you cash in with your free agent contract. Going on Pat McAfee, going on Mostly Sports at Barstool. Like the four guys that were on Mostly Sports this week, I was like, you've been on the show, you've been on the show, you've been on the show in person, you've been on the show. And I was like, yeah, those are the boys right there. Chase going on Pat McAfee, I was stoked for him there. And that's what's the cool part about this sport is we've known about these guys and we've known these guys on a more personal level for years now. And now them getting like this national recognition for accomplishing something that doesn't happen in sports every year, every 3 years in this case, is really, really cool. And I'm super happy for the players on that Buffalo Bandits squad.
Yeah, I mean, they earned it all year. They were basically the number one team in the league, except for, I think, 1 or 2 weeks out of the whole season. And that's how you go out and prove that you're still the best. Every team throws their hardest at you when you're a defending champs, especially when you do it 2 times in a row. And now it's going to be even tougher for them in this next year. 3 times in a row, everybody is gunning to not only beat them in the regular season, but be the team to beat them in the playoffs and truly end their streak of winning. But they've continued to prove that it's a matter of vibes and smiles, for one, but also just the willingness to be around each other and not want to let your brother and your teammate down, playing for more than just themselves and putting in an immense amount of work. They understand the work the work they put in outside of practice and outside of the arena is going to impact their play. It's going to impact the guys around them. And they believe in the system that has been created for them specifically as players, and it's working out very well. And then obviously when you have Bandit Lane behind you, it always helps.
And I mean, it goes without saying, like, Matt Vince is the greatest goalie in NLL history. Like, that dude, you thought Tom Brady avoided Father Time. Matt Vince just might be Father Time because the way he just has continued to progress and dominate into his 40s is crazy. Like, his nickname is not Vino for nothing because that man ages like fine wine. I mean, a dominant performance. And for the Saskatchewan Rush, the players on that team, the fans, don't be discouraged. It sucks that you lost. You ran into one of the greatest dynasties of all time in the National Lacrosse League. You'll be back. Your team is talented. You have incredible coaches on that bench. Derek Keenan is a menace as a GM. This felt like, not that they overachieved, because I don't think they overachieved, but it felt like they almost got to the pinnacle a year earlier than expected. And next year's going to be really like the year that, like, it's going to be like, oh shit, like last year was not just like a fluke type run for Saskatchewan. Like, they are here to stay. They are a prominent force. There's a reason that this year's NLL Finals was the most viewed NLL Finals in the history of the league. Over 300,000 people cross-platform. It was epic. It was everything you could have asked for. And I think the only thing you could have asked for more was that Saskatchewan was able to find the back of the net a little bit more in that second half of Game 3 to keep it competitive down the stretch. But everything else in this finals, it was as advertised. It was the 2 best teams. And DJ, I'm just keeping a close watch in the men's game. NLL Finals this year, the 1 seed versus the 2 seed, the 1 seed wins. NCAA Championship for the men's, 1 seed versus the 2 seed, the 1 seed wins. All eyes are on the PLL to see who ends up being the 1 seed and the 2 seed from each conference that get to the finals. Will the 1 seed win? That remains to be seen, but just noticing trends. But I'm very encouraged about what's to come from Saskatchewan. They are they're a destination franchise too. Like, great fans, awesome arena, amazing uniforms to put on your body. That is key. Look good, feel good, play good. And they have young talent mixed with like savvy veterans. That's a team that if you're a free agent, you got to look at Saskatchewan and be like, if it makes sense for me to go play there, why would I not consider going and playing in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, I think that first and foremost, they don't really have anything to hang their hats on. You made it where you wanted to be, and you came up a few goals short. Like that's a lot to build off of. I think that they have every piece needed to win. They literally just ran into a juggernaut. Had Buffalo not been there, I think we're talking about Saskatchewan raising the NLL Cup, and they're bringing back so many pieces. You don't really see anybody on this team that seems too old. Maybe Frank Skiggs, but at the level he's playing at, I doubt he's looking at retirement. And all the young guys are loving playing together. And then the wizardry of the coaching staff slash front office that they've done to not only bring back the fanship of this team and make fans be excited to be back in the building and have something to come and enjoy, but also the team. The team is very well built and is very well coached, and I think that is what drove them this year. Was that coaching piece. So I think now that they've been there, and some of those younger guys got a chance to taste what it's like to be this far, and you pair that with the coaching, they're going to be a team to be scared of for not just next year, but some years to come. They had a phenomenal season this year. The offense was extremely on point. As you mentioned, they definitely looked good, and it translated into how they felt and played. It's just a matter of wrong time. Like, you know how people say like right people, wrong time. Like It's kind of like one of those things. Like, right team, wrong time. Like, let this team be here in a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they're going to be raising a trophy.
In terms of what we have seen in our lifetimes with like sports franchise dominance, our lifetimes, we saw, the New York Yankees early on in the early 2000s do their thing. We saw the New England Patriots do their thing. We've seen the Chiefs, go on this run currently that they've been on. Obviously, the Eagles are dynasty killers, so shout out to the Birds. But, they won 2 in a row. Mahomes has won 3, so it's like, in this era, they've done a lot. Where in your sports fandom, where do you kind of like see this Bandits run of 5 straight NLL finals, 3 in a row they've won with the same core pretty much, with a couple of additions here and there, but Josh, Dane, Chase, Matt Vince, Ian McKay have all been core parts of this team throughout these past 5 years. You added Tahoka, you've added Kyle Buchanan, you add Paul Dawson last year, and he was there this year as well. You add somebody like Cam Wires, like you go from Max Adler being like the game changer for you at the faceoff, and then you bring in Connor Farrell, and now you've gone back to back with him as your faceoff athlete, and him changing the complexion of your team in 2024 and being a force this year. Where do the Bandits like rank for you in terms of just like overall sports dominance in that particular sport?
This is going to be really weird. because I only have them above. I have them below two things. They're both basketball related. I think my number one run of all time, even though it's not as successful end goal wise as I would like it and many other people would like it to be, LeBron going to 10 straight championships is unreal. No matter how you cut the cake, no matter how many he wins, going 10 straight times is unbelievable for anyone. And then, or not 10 straight, 8 straight, I think it was, something like that. But still, it's unreal. And then Jordan's runs with the Bulls.
Like for me,
but
I'm
then
looking at it.
I have that right at number 3, and I may even put that at 2 above the Jordan runs.
I'm like looking at it from like franchise perspective too. Like what LeBron has done, like I'm not discrediting that. Like LeBron's incredible, and to be able to do that and carry the teams that he carried too. I think like the way that I'm ranking the Bandits right now, dude, when I'm just looking at like teams, like how I mentioned like the Yankees and like the Chiefs and everything, like I think the only like team run, because they were able to do it in almost like 3 iterations. And I know, Deflategate, Spygate, everything. I think the only team like for me in terms of just like consistent like dominance is the Patriots. And then the Bandits are like right there. Like to be in one league to go to 5 straight championship series in this case is crazy. And you're doing it in a sport where you practice once a week together. You're doing it.
This is so. Well, I guess you're going team wise, but
yeah, I'm just doing it like as a franchise. Like,
yeah, I forgot all about like Usain and Michael Phelps and like Katie Ledecky. Like,
yeah, like that's individual.
Simone Biles. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I could start throwing out some names.
Like Team USA ain't fucking around, okay? But these Canadian boys, they got something going over there in Buffalo. But like you're doing it in a sport where you practice once a week. Like it's crazy how consistently dominant they have been, and they found different ways to win it. Like yes, the main core has been intact, but you've seen the different iterations of this Bandits team, even during this three-peat, that it's just been like holy shit. And then like it's not the quote unquote same, but like you can also like throw in for the Klooch, Dane, Josh, Chase, Ian. Like they also won a PLL championship together with those guys. Like it's crazy how much of a force they have been, and it's really cool to watch. I think it's very different than any other real like dynasties we've seen. I think because they are so likable. But man, like generational run that they have been. Like the fact that you're seeing these guys like on fucking Barstool now, getting the pump and love from shows at Barstool, from Pat McAfee, being on SportsCenter top 10 plays as number 1 with Chase. And I think it's cool because like those are guys that like we've connected with, not only as just like guests on the show, but like we've gotten a chance to like talk to them in real life and like connect with them, and like we consider those guys like friends. And I think that's really cool too, is day in and day out, like we are very like we want to see the homies succeed, and those guys are the homies. Like Ian is a homie. Like Ian's mom religiously listens to this show. Shout out to Ian's mom. Chase has told us in person when he gets on a flight, he's listening to OTB. Like that shit's dope. Like Josh Byrne, who was like the one player from this core that like eluded us for so long, sits down with us in Ohio and knows exactly who we are, when like we at that moment in time had very few interactions with Josh. It's one of those cool things that like I'm super proud of those guys and the work that they put in, and seeing their just consistent dominance is fucking awesome. And kudos to Buffalo. Who knows if like They do the reverse Buffalo Bills. They go to 4 straight and lose. The Bandits go to 5 straight. Now they're going for 4 in a row. Like, does it reverse the Buffalo curse? Who knows? But they are Buffalo's team, in my opinion. Like, the Bills have been consistently good. I don't think they've been great. They haven't gotten over the hump. They've been consistently good. They've got good players, good coaching. They wanted to ban the tush push, though, so they lose a lot of points there. You guys run the fucking play. The second most of anybody in the league, you dummies. But genuinely, like, the fact that the Bandits are able to outsell the Sabres, and I know the Sabres stink, but, like, it's a major 4 sport, and they're putting more people's asses in seats in the arena that is home to the Buffalo Sabres for a National Lacrosse League game is pretty fucking cool. So cheers to the Bandits, and especially shout out to Josh, Dane, Chase, Ian, Connor Farrell, Cam Wires, and those boys who have supported this show big time. Paul Dawson, obviously, 2-time collabo guest on the show. Couldn't be prouder of those guys, and lucky to call them friends, and seeing them succeed is really fucking cool because those boys know how to party.
Is anybody going to beat them?
I don't know. It genuinely feels like the NLL now is like the race to face off against the Bandits.
Does somebody want to step up and, like, I don't know. You guys are, like, paid to play, right? And just asking.
As far as we know.
Just asking.
We'll see.
Or is it some more of that MLL stuff where they're like, paid but not really paid, When
it comes to the 2024-2025 NLL season, Deej, what's the word association for you as we put a bow on another season of NLL?
Plateau-ish. Because I feel like there was some slight growth, but the Bandits winning the championship puts it on a plateau. Like, there was a lot of teams that made waves this year, a lot of teams that started bad that ended up playing better later in the year, some teams that started a little better, had a dip off, and then, made their way back. The playoff push at the end of the year was insane, and there was just a lot of good pieces during the regular season that ended with the same team winning again. It would have been growth had we had a new champion. Either that or like parity. But parity also would have been another great word for this year. There was almost enough parity for me this year. I do think the league is trending in the right direction, though.
I was going to say parity as my word, but I think my word is going to be this was the season of dialogue. I feel like this season, more than ever, we had so many people that are in the lacrosse world, out of the lacrosse world, having dialogue and talking about the National Lacrosse League, that it really like elevated it to a lot of the common fan. The common sports fan had the NLL in their sights. It was in their vision. It was in content they were consuming. And I feel like a lot of people were just talking about the NLL more than we've seen in years past. For a long time, since we've started covering the league back in 2018, 2019, it felt like it was this good old boys club. And it was, just a lot of the Canadian lacrosse people. And then the Americans had to break their way through to even be able to have a discussion at the table. And then it was, a lot of American, fans talking about the NLL, and we've had seasons of expansion, we've had seasons of parity. I think this season more than ever we had so many people talking about. You log on to social media and you just see the NLL like in your sight, and I think that was a big deal to have Chase Frazier at the end of the season on the Pat McAfee show, to have the Bandits boys on a Barstool podcast that is consistently growing. to have the NLL on SportsCenter top 10 plays week in and week out, I feel like we had dialogue about the NLL more so than ever, and I think that was pretty awesome. And I mean, this is the season that we found out your boy was nominated for a goddamn end of season award. What you know about it? Gang,
gang. Some people aren't gonna like that.
What you know about it? Haters, you can call our voicemail line, speakpipe.com/OTBLaxPod. Hit my line. What you know about it? I got the hater blockers on right now too, so can't see shit. But yeah, this NLL season was awesome. From being able to fucking first person glimpse at Brennan O'Neill taking over the league to the Bandits coming out on top, to the Rush getting back to prominence, to the Nick Rose trade, to so much happened this year. It was an absolute blast of a season. I'm already looking forward to next season. Not that I'm rushing our summer away whatsoever, but the NLL is, like you said, it's on the up and up. It feels like we're moving in the right direction. A lot of people are talking about it too. So from us to the people, thank you if you chose to consume OTB during the NLL season. We hope you stick around for what is going to be an incredible PLL season. But genuinely, we got our start with the NLL with this podcast. The NLL means a lot to us. We wouldn't be anywhere close to where we are without the NLL. Literally, episode 1 was at the NLL league office of this podcast. So thank you all for rocking with us for another NLL season. It has been incredible. Thank you to the people that nominated me for Media Person of the Year. It still hasn't really set in that was a thing. It's crazy. I'm just a kid from South Jersey. How we doing? Breaking into Canadian land's national sport. But yeah, we appreciate all the support during the NLL season. The fact that we had Hoots out there covering the Mammoth week in and week out, Hoots on the ground. Just a blast of a season. We're looking forward to really elevating what we're going to be able to do come 2025, 2026 with the NLL. So appreciate the hell out of everybody.
Yeah, I got to get my way to Calgary real soon. But we definitely appreciate everybody checking in week in and week out. And, hearing us complain about our teams, but also wax poetic about others and sharing the success of other teams, even though we were sitting in despair for part of the year.
Yes. And congratulations once again to the 2025 National Lacrosse League champion Buffalo Bandits. Before we keep it pushing here, I do want to talk to you guys about our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Guys, PLL season is here. We want to see people repping OTB in the stands all summer long. You want to stand out in the crowd, rep your favorite lacrosse podcast, your favorite lacrosse player's favorite lacrosse podcast. It's with our friends at PHI Apparel Company. Get your official OTB shirts and hoodies. We're working on some new merch too to get that up in the store relatively soon. But check out everything they have to offer. phiapparel.co is the website. When you go to check out, use code UNDERGROUND to get a generous 10% off your next merch order from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Again, that's phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your next merch order, and stand out in the crowd with the official merch partner of the Outside the Box podcast and Underground Sports Philadelphia. Deej, it's crazy. Albany's
It's here. It's
PLL season is here, everybody. I think my eyes are okay. If you're watching on the YouTube, I've had my awesome Tomahawk shades on. Shout out to Tomahawk. Because the late May post-Memorial Day allergies have been kicking my ass today as we record this on a Thursday night. And I woke up this morning and my eye just felt super dry. I couldn't open my right eye that much. It just hurt to have it open. Took an allergy medicine. That helped a lot. CFO Margie popped some eye drops in my eyes. And if you don't know me, which I don't think I've ever voiced this because that was the first time I've taken eye drops, probably in well over a decade. I am terrified of eye drops. The anticipation of waiting for the drop to fall into my eye just freaks me the absolute fuck out. So I was like, yeah, I think you got to put the eye drop in. I got to record podcast tonight. And I didn't know how long it was going to take for my eye to be like, to take it. So for the first half hour of the show, I just had my lovely tomahawk shades on to protect my eye from looking crazy. So if my right eye does look a little insane, that's why. Shout out to allergy season, baby. It's Albany week. And as you can see, we're not in the studio together as we normally would be. We're not going to be in Albany this weekend. Our streak of 4 straight PLL opening weekends has come to a close. And you're wondering, what happened, guys? Well, what would an Albany weekend be? Or I should say, what would an opening weekend be? Because year one of this was in Boston. Absolutely fucking hate that shite-ass city.
Oh, man. Tell me about it.
Your boys got car trouble so bad that I don't even have my car. It's not even like we hit the road and had car troubles. I don't have a car right now. I have not had a car for what will be 2 weeks this Saturday. So without a car, can't pick up DJ from the airport. Without a car, we can't drive to Albany. And so we will be covering what is just a 4-hour drive from the crib to Albany. We will be covering that from the comfort of our own homes. It sucks. I'm bummed. And it's one of those things that the good old European guilt that was passed down generation to generation to generation to yours truly kicks in. And it's like, I find out I'm not going to be able to go. And like, I feel embarrassed that we're not going to be at opening weekend. And I know I shouldn't feel that way. Like, it's crazy that I have that type of emotion, like coursing through my veins, but I feel genuinely embarrassed that I am not in Albany, that we are not in Albany covering this opening weekend that's going to be absolutely electric for you guys, in person, boots on the ground for it. So I shouldn't have to say I apologize, but I feel obligated. We apologize that we're not in Albany. We're still going to be covering the fuck out of opening weekend, and you will see us in Philadelphia for sure. Philly's going to be, as the kids say, Philly's going to be an absolute movie. But I genuinely do feel terrible that we're not going to be in all. I got the email today that my credential was approved, and I was like, well, won't be needing that. But yeah, I don't have a car is what it breaks down to. No pun intended, because car did indeed break down. So with that being said, we are here at Albany Week, Deej. Another PLL season on the horizon. It's crazy.
What I do want to say, I also feel that embarrassment. But I think it's because we've like established this reputation and repertoire of being at, certain weekends. Like if we just so happen to somehow not make it to Philly weekend, people would literally be astonished. If we didn't make it to a couple of the playoff weekends, people would mind blown. I think that if I happen to not make it to Chicago, people will actually be like, "Where were you?
Where's the Midwest champion?"
You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that. Like even Baltimore is one that we go to quite often. So it's like certain venues we're almost expected to be there because we're always there. So there is like that embarrassment, because then we're gonna ask a question on the Zoom and they're gonna go, why you ain't here? Right. Like it's gonna just be weird, but like everybody's gonna understand. And just literally just God
damn it.
Every time. Hey, kids show. Every time.
Gosh darn it.
But it's one of those things that will be fine. Because it will work out for something in the future.
And like, not to toot our own horns, like, we are the national media. We are part of the national media of covering this sport. So that, I think, is also where it stems from, is like we have this self-inflicted expectation of ourselves. And that's where a lot of it comes from as well. But apologies to Albany. I'm bummed because I love going to Albany too. Like, I like Albany as a city. Like, to go there once a year. Like, I look forward to the Albany trip because it is like the perfect time of year up there. Like, it's not too cold. It's not too hot really ever. It's like perfect weather like 95% of the time. And it's just a joy to be up there. The people are so nice. So I do feel bad that we are not going to be there. But
Yeah, I wanted to go to that one restaurant with the fire cheese planks again.
oh yeah, fuck. Forgot about that. The place was
Oh, I did
heat.
not. Those mozzarella stick planks were fire.
That mozzarella Lincoln logs.
I swear, bro. Made Chili's look small.
Hey, if Chili's wants to sponsor this show, though, just
By
saying.
all means. Triple
Just
dipper.
saying.
Banging. That 3 for me is a 3 for me.
Them Southwest egg rolls be smacking.
Schmack.
Chili's hit our line. It's crazy that this is year 7 of the PLL. Like, where did the time go?
Flew by.
Flew We're
by.
closer to the PLL existing for a decade than it not existing.
And to think that we were in the same place year 1 and had no clue of each other is insane.
Literally like cross the Spider-Verse type shit.
It was bound.
So I was in the press conferences this week with like I feel weird calling it preseason because it's not like, but it's like pre-dash season media availability with all of the teams. We had players this year, which was really cool. I don't remember the players being in the press conferences last year. I felt like it was just coaches.
They were not.
So we had both, which was really nice. It was a nice touch. DJ, if I know you got to watch the Redwoods and Cannons press conferences, so if you have questions about the other teams, I am here to answer them.
I did see a lot of tweets that
I was
went
trying to tweet as much as I could during it. I was like,
I know there were a lot of people who were tweeting. Most people were tweeting responses to their own questions, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of like little snarky comments and stuff that got out. So like I got a good grasp on kind of everybody's feelings and what was said and you know how they feel about training camp. It was what I expected. Because we've gotten to know the coaches so well from being in press conferences so often. Lots of coach talk from the coaches we expect to get coach talk from. And then a lot of open answers from guys we expected open answers from. And then as far as like the new coaches in the realm and the new GMs, it was more insight on how they look at the game, how they interact with media, etc. So no questions.
My biggest takeaways from media availability. Number 1, it is fascinating that the 2023 PLL semifinals turned Asher Nolting into the villain that he is. Because my God, is he villain number 1 of the PLL? And I love it. I love it. I want more of this from guys. I want guys to have their genuine feelings out there because I think that's what makes the PLL have the opportunity for people to be like, oh my God, hashtag this league. Asher Nolting dropped a hashtag this league moment in media availability talking about the upcoming matchup against the New York Atlas, saying, yeah, we know they don't like us. We don't particularly like them. And I think you saw that at Champ Series. I love that Asher just dropped that out there. Like, that was everything and then some we as the media could have asked for. I think that's everything the PLL social team could have asked for. And it gives you an insight on the way Asher plays the game. He gives zero fucks about who his opponent is, who is next on the schedule. If you're in his sight, he's going to give you 110% and attempt to give you that sauce every single time. And I absolutely love his demeanor about it. And it is so funny that we know the exact point in time that flipped the switch for Asher to become the villain.
It's like there always has to be a villain. Most of the time, the villain is the person who's just like too good to beat. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, LeBron James, Steph Curry, etc. And then other times it's a guy like this who's just open and out and just plays hard and is like a guy that invokes the hate from everyone else. Like with Asher, it's, hey, I'm going to play you hard for 48 minutes. I'm going to talk shit when I do things against you. I'm going to be in your face and you're going to like it. And if you don't, that's on you. And it rubs a lot of guys the wrong way. So he becomes a natural villain that's all based off game. It's not really about what's said. It's about what happens.
What athlete would you
and from
compare him
both
to?
sides too.
Like what? Because like you said, like normally it's like the player that's like too good to beat, or it's like that pest, type of player. Like that's not really overall talent wise that good, but they're such a menace in whatever sport it is that they like make up for it and become that villain. Like who do you compare Asher to? I like am having trouble figuring out like what type of comparison villain he is.
Pat Bev. Because listen, like Pat Bev not as skilled as Asher, but like people don't like Pat Bev because of the way he plays basketball. Like it has nothing to do with like what he says, his skills or anything. It's the way he plays against you when he
And
plays.
it's one of those things that like you can't say Pat Bev's not good because the dude lasted 15, 16, however long, like over a decade. Pat Bev played in the NBA.
Played in conference finals. I think even NBA finals. Might be wrong about that one. Can't quite put my finger on that.
Yeah,
I feel like I remember him being in a finals game, but I also feel like I may be thinking of a conference finals game. But I mean, even conference finals at that is quite a ways to go in the NBA. And he's just one of those guys that was consistently doing those things. And every year he was a villain to someone or multiple teams. He was just, they were like, hey, I hate Patrick Beverly. Had fans on the TL screaming about locking up Patrick Beverly and not like defensively, like lock him up in a jail cell. And like Asher's, he's creeping into that territory where dudes are like, hey, he's got to go.
Yeah. It's so funny to watch, and I love it. I love every minute of it. Another takeaway I had from Media Day that I feel like flew under the radar to a degree, but I love the quote. Chris Bates saying Dyson Williams is a, quote, foundation player for the Utah Archers. I was like, that's high praise. Not that Dyson doesn't warrant it. He's a talented player. But with how much talent is on that Archers team, how Dyson wasn't really able to get into a groove last year because he had the visa issues, was in the NLL finals, never really found his stride in terms of like consistency. The fact that they view him as a foundation player, I think is pretty telling. How they feel about him, how they're going to use him this year, where we're going to see Dyson kind of, on the field quite a bit more than we did last year for a full season now. That's exciting to me because I think that means we're going to see another level of Dyson's field game unlocked, and just where he kind of stands in the Utah Archers organization. Like he's a guy that is going to end up being there for a long time now.
Yeah, I think he's an instrumental like locker room guy for them, and just vibes and smiles guy, a guy that's just
silent killer.
Yeah, not even just like it's not the play for them is a bonus. Everything else he does is what they need him there for. He's going to be a guy who's going to end up being a captain on the team. Those are the kind of guys that Chris
very Ambler-esque.
Those are the guys that Chris Bates likes is guys that can be molded, find a role, and then excel in that role, but also be very good at a lot of other things. Not everything, but a lot of other things. I feel like Zach Currier would be a base guy for a lot of those same reasons. I think that's why Currier ended up at Princeton for college, just for a lot of those same reasons. And Dyson has a lot of those qualities. You've seen it when he was at Duke. You see it with his time with the Firewolves. I think it's a little diminished there due to some of the other pieces that are there. It's not quite his role, but you see it shining from time to time. So not surprised, and won't be surprised to see him kind of step up and take that role when Ambler's, fully gone, when Schreiber probably steps down. I could see Dyson being a captain.
Another takeaway I had was Tim Sudan thinks Sam Handley's going to have a breakout year this year, which I love that.
I mean, he's due for it.
He said, they talked towards the end of the year about just like, not his role in particular, but like just him being himself and like not trying to do too much and just being comfortable. And he said the work, he's had a great camp and he's looking for him to have a breakout season. If we have a breakout Sam Handley season with that Outlaws offense already being as prolific as it's shaping up to be on paper, look out, because you're going to have Brennan O'Neill, Pat Cav, Logan Wisnauskas, Graham Bundy Jr., and Sam Handley. Sign me up. That's going to be get your popcorn ready anytime the Denver Outlaws are on TV.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be a good squad this year. There's really nothing holding them back from success this year, other than themselves.
Right.
They have to stay out of their own way, take care of the ball, and be goal scorers. They have a pretty solid defense behind them. I was just talking some trash to Hoots earlier about them being old and washed, minus JT Giles Harris, but they're still playing good lacrosse, and they're still competing at a pretty high level, giving them a chance to be successful all over the field. So I don't see that stopping this year. I do think Graham Bundy is poised for a breakout year. I mean, he was almost non-existent last year. Or Sam Handley, yes.
And Sam, I thought, had a much better sophomore season than he had rookie year, too. Like, rookie year, like, we talked to Pseudo, and he was saying, like, Sam was dealing with getting, a new job and had that stress, and a whole bunch of stuff was on Sam's plate his rookie year. Last year, like, while it wasn't a loud year for Sam in terms of, like, production, it was more consistent production than we saw in his rookie year. So now that he's gotten the consistency down, kind of knows who's going to be on this roster, too, where it's not as muddy of an offensive group as it was last year. I think Sam's going to be a lot more comfortable and can kind of just play his game and be a force in that midfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's space for him to do so as well. And I think really when you look at how their offense is constructed, there's not too many teams that can say this. I think they have 6 Dodgers on the field at all times.
Sam, Bundy, Brennan, Logan, Pat Cav,
Justin
Anderson.
This is a great time to pull up their roster, actually. But, like, I really don't think there's anybody. Yeah, Dalton Young.
Jackie Overs.
Haven't pointed out anybody offensively yet that I don't feel confident in dodging.
Elaw, Jack Myers. Like, that's their offensive players.
And I'd say the weakest Dodger here is Jack Myers.
Yeah.
This team's going to be dangerous. And it's young. So, like, this offense is going to be so free-flowing. So there's going to be tons of opportunities for Sam Handley, especially if Graham Bundy continues to have success. You could see him getting pulled instead of Sam Handley, which allows him to go against a short stick. And now I don't see them double polling the attack anymore. If it's going to be those 3 guys down there, you kind of have to respect them and leave the poles down there. So that leaves the midfield some opportunity as well, because there's now really going to be two short sticks playing in the midfield rather than kind of trapping one against Eric Law and letting your defense have some freedom.
Yeah. Takeaway from the Water Dogs, Bill Tierney has a new lease on life. Last year, it just felt like Bill Tierney was just like kind of like grouchy, came off like very unapproachable in a lot of ways. Like you never really wanted to see Bill Tierney after a press conference because it always felt like he was angry, rightfully so. The Water Dogs had a horrific year last year. But from my conversations with Coach Tierney at the draft, on top of him being like very excited to see me, which was amazing, loved it. And then seeing the way he was in the press conference, Deej, it's rare, I feel like, when a coach of Coach Tierney's pedigree and his age find room for growth, in my opinion. A lot of times older coaches are like, it's my way or the highway. This is how I do it. I'm gonna coach through it, whatever it may be. Bill Tierney has grown from year one of coaching the Water Dogs to year two already, and they haven't even played a game. The fact that he said, he openly admitted, I came into this role last year trying to be somebody that I wasn't. I came into this role talking to too many people, taking advice from too many different directions, and I wasn't myself. He said, we're trying to get the culture back this year from where it was last year. And you can't have good culture without good people. And I was like, that's such an awesome quote. That's a quote you put up in an office. You put that up anywhere. Like, that's a staple. That's a quote of all quotes. And the fact that he said, I've learned that I not only have to know these guys as players, I've got to get to know them as people. And that to me was telling. And he said him and Michael Sowers call each other like once or twice a month just to, quote, shoot the breeze. And the fact that Bill Tierney is taking that time to get to know his players beyond the field, beyond lacrosse, is such a development for the Water Dogs that will go under the radar because nobody's going to talk about that outside of, that press conference that happened. But I think that's going to go such a long way for guys like Sowers, guys like Kieran, the veterans on this team, Dylan Ward, Matt DeLuca, the defense for this team, to really take that next step of the buy-in to what Bill Tierney and his staff want to accomplish. And it feels like there's a new lease on communication in that locker room. Michael Sowers said, and it's very cliche, but I believe Michael when he says it, it was the most valuable and competitive training camp he's been a part of in his PLL career. I really feel like Coach Tierney finding that room for growth and being able to evolve as a coach now at the pro level is such a game-changing factor for the success of the Water Dogs in 2025.
I mean, it could be. It could be. I think it still comes down to coaching during the game, decisions made in prep work, those kind of things, just because it's so different than what he's been used to. It's so different than the college game. It's not the game that he has coached for so long. But I don't know.
He also just seems happy. Like, the amount of times I've seen Bill Tierney smile in the last 2 months is pretty awesome because I never thought I would see that. I'm just excited for the Water Dogs. Like, it feels like that locker room got a lot of weight lifted off of its shoulders. And it's not even from roster changes or draft picks, right? It feels like they know last year was kind of the outlier compared to what they know this team to be. And I think they feel a lot more comfortable with Tierney and company on that coaching staff than they were last year, especially because it was kind of sprung on them very late in the off season, I should say, with Copeland stepping down. Now that they get a full off season, a full training camp of knowing Tierney, and it goes both ways. Like, I feel like the players are a lot more comfortable with them now, knowing how they approach things. I think that's going to be such a game-changing aspect of how they prepare and how they, approach in-game decisions and stuff like that, that it's going to make a big difference. So I'm excited about Coach Tierney going into this season with the Water Dogs and just his new approach and him feeling like he can be himself. And I think last year, when you look back at it, he wasn't really himself, and there's probably a lot of circumstances for that. So very excited for that.
A lot of people on that team weren't themselves. So
yeah. The Redwoods takeaways. They continued to echo that they did not expect Chris Kavanaugh to be at pick number 10. And they are very happy about that. Joe Spallina in particular said to all the other people that let him fall to us at 10, that's their problem.
Okay.
I like that Anthony Kelly is, bringing his approach to coaching to this team, but also he mentioned in particular, like, Chris Collins has been a huge benefit for them in terms of being the bridge with the returning veterans to the new guys on the team and the new coaches. And I think the biggest thing that I took away was when Ryder and Brian Tevlin were at the table, they continued to echo the locker room, getting the locker room right, getting the locker room back to where it should be. Tevlin in particular saying, when you have, it's rare in any level of lacrosse that you get an opportunity for a blank slate, and when you do, you have to take advantage of it. It really feels like these guys know what's in front of them in terms of opportunity, in terms of trying to right the ship, in terms of a new lease on the California Redwoods, and they're ready to do what they can to take advantage of it. But it really does feel like there may have been some issues in that locker room last year and for the past couple of years, because that was something that stood out to me. I was like, let me hear how these guys talk about, training camp going. And it was very much getting the locker room correct.
I mean, I don't think there was necessarily a locker room problem last year. I think the bigger thing with that piece is there are so many new guys on this locker room. Special shout out and thanks to Boston Battery for having me on for Price is Right earlier before this recording. There are exactly 13 newly contracted Redwoods players this year, which means this locker room is nowhere near familiar with each other. Half these guys know each other, half these guys don't. But there's also pockets. Like, Ryder knows Chris and Brian pretty well because he coached them. Maybe I think Chris Fake might even be on that list of guys he knows well, because I think he might have played or coached. He might have been coaching or playing when Chris was there. And then obviously, the defense knows each other pretty well after playing with each other last year. Arden and Chris Collins played together at Notre Dame. And you kind of start looking around and there's some other pockets of guys who are familiar with each other, but there isn't this wholesale, oh yeah, these are my boys yet for this team, because they don't really know each other. So I think it's back to that piece, is that this team is just new.
Can I give you a fun stat about this week's Redwoods team?
Oh, I'm scared.
It's not even like scared. It's just pretty wild. There's no player on the active Redwoods roster that is 30 years old or older.
That is scary, but
It's
not
crazy.
Scary. It's scary, but not scary.
Because obviously, like, Westberg is still part of the team. He's just out, and Jack Kelly, same thing. They're the only contracted 30-year-olds, though, on the roster.
Yeah, it's like we have experience, but we don't.
It's wild.
I don't like it.
I'm intrigued by what the Redwoods are going to. I think a lot of people are like in wait and see mode with them, but I do like a lot of the moves that they made this offseason. I think they're going to be very fun to watch, for better or for worse. Like they are going to. I think the defense is going to be another year wiser, another year like step in the right direction, especially since Chris Collins is still back as the coach. I think a lot of it is going to rely on just their ability to score and what Bocklet does with this new offense. And I think that's why I'm so intrigued, because for years we've sat on the show and said John Grant Jr.'s offense was a slow MLO archaic offense. I'm excited to see what Bocklet brings in to make this offense fast with such a young core of guys now that have speed, that can move, that have twitch to them, and you're not handcuffed by keeping Rob Pennell at X. And that's no slight at Rob, but it felt like that was a handcuff of the Redwoods offense for the past couple of years in a John Grant Jr. run offense, was they were handcuffing themselves. Now you can be versatile. You can move guys around. You can have fluidity to the offense. And I think that's why I'm very excited to watch this Redwoods team this year, is because I think there's going to be a lot of like movement and like a different look than what we've seen over the past like 2-3 years.
Oh, 100% it will be. Like they said, clean slate. You don't get to have it often. There's this opportunity now to run this offense how you see fit. You have a totally new group of guys in, and you can come in and say, you know what? We're not going to set any picks. We're going to go to an open set and just move the ball around a ton, dodge when we feel like it, and look for the open shots. We're going to run a 1-4, and we're going to do this and dodge here and roll back and hit this guy and look to hit this guy. You can do X, Y, and Z because the entire playbook is open to you, and it's week 1. So you can go out here, implement some stuff, look at it, and go, you know what? That's not really set for this group. This looks awful at game speed. Let's pivot to something else. Or you do that, you have that plan for a week or 2, maybe 3 at the most, and then maybe you hit the panic button and shift things to more fit what you have. But you're playing with house money on the fact that you have a whole new offense that basically with a team that is almost brand new and has no real expectations.
Mm-hmm. And I will say it was very funny that I asked Ryder and I asked Michael Sowers the same question. I said, another training camp for you. Like it's crazy to think you're one of the, grizzled veterans now. What have you learned about yourself and like your leadership style and stuff like that? And Ryder said, past couple of years, like there's been guys in this locker room that were the ones that were vocal and sent the message and stuff like that. And I didn't really have to do all that much. He was like, I'm not a very loud person. I was like, Ryder, yes, you are.
Facts.
But it was cool to like hear Ryder say like he's kind of finding his leadership voice. And I truly think Ryder's going to be one hell of a fucking leader for this team this year. And it's wild to think about that when you think about when Ryder came into the league to where he is now. I genuinely think he's going to be such a prominent figure, and I feel good about my prediction about him potentially being an MVP candidate that we said last week, because I think Ryder is going to really have a new lease on his career this season in this offense. I think it suits his style of play so much, and I think he's going to have so much fun playing again this year. Like last year, it really showcased like he was frustrated in a lot of instances, and I think Ryder's going to have one hell of a year this year for sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to get some of that dodging freedom back because he won't be in an offense where he's dodging at the last second, or he won't be one of the only dodgers. I feel like there were a lot of dodging opportunities either just weren't taken by guys or were taken away from guys. And he was stuck dodging in a lot of positions, and teams were sending early double teams and kind of just putting him in really awkward situations. I don't think that happens as the offense opens up.
The Boston Cannons, Deej, I'm already on a heater. I get those viral press conference questions going. I already dropped number one, and the season hasn't even started. Jack Keelty was at the podium with Brian Holman and Asher Nolting. And while we already talked about Asher being the villain, I asked Brian Holman, because famously last year when Jack Keelty got injured, he said, "You don't replace Jack Keelty. He is the Boston Cannons." So I asked Brian, and I said, "What's it like having the Boston Cannons back now that Jack Keelty is back?" And he said, "I'll show you what it's like." And he proceeds to hug Jack Keelty like the Redwoods mascot logo, and just absolutely bear hug the shit out of him. And I think the coolest part of that Cannons press conference, bro, was the genuine happiness and the glow that was on Jack Keelty's face. We've seen guys happy after games, happy after, results and stuff like that. The pure happiness that Jack Keelty had just glowing from his face. And when he was talking to us, he is so happy to be back, healthy, with his guys. And it showcased, like, yeah, he is the Boston Cannons. Like, that guy is a leader. He's a captain for a reason. There's a reason that entire locker room loves that dude. And it made me that much happier that he's back. Like, the fact that he missed an entire season with that injury was nuts. Like, it was unprecedented. Like, I don't think a lot of people were expecting that, obviously, in training camp, and then for him to miss the whole year sucked. But just to see that dude so happy to be back where he knows he belongs was so fucking cool.
I mean, that's what we deserve in life. Is for, people to be able to have happiness. And lacrosse is the game of medicine. It brings you happiness naturally. When you're around the game, it makes you feel better. You literally forget about every problem you have in the world when you're around the game. And it sucks double time when the reason you're not around the game is the game.
Mm-hmm.
That really, really sucks when you get hurt and you can't play the game and you're looking from the outside in because you got hurt in a practice or a game. It hurts even more. So I think there's just a sense of relief and just literally, like you said, just literal pure joy to be doing what he loves again. And I think he's going to have a fantastic year. He's been brewing for over a year now, and is you see the magic of only being able to see these guys on the weekend. And he gets a week this week with training camp, but you can see that, like, he missed even just getting to see these guys on that one weekend.
Yeah. It made me feel good about the hypothetical comeback player of the year pick too, because that dude's going to ball out. Also, Tom Schreiber feeling good after the injury. He did say that he went back and watched the film when he broke his collarbone last year and was hoping that, like, he got clipped or tripped over somebody or something caused it. He was like, nope, just tripped over my own feet, fell right on my collarbone and broke it. He was like, so outside of the embarrassment from that, it's been a clean recovery and everything. I love Tom, man. He's just the best. Whip Snakes, they're going to be interesting. I'll tell you that much. Rob Pennell joked that he has a rule that Matt Dunn is not allowed to guard him in practice.
Excuse me, sir, what? I'm not sure that's how that works.
It was so funny. He said that TJ Malone could not be happier to be teammates with Rob Pennell, and literally every second he gets, he's like, I'm so happy I get to play with you. I'm so happy we're teammates. And he said Brandao is the same way. But Rob said he welcomes that because it means those guys are willing to learn from whomever and are going to be sponges to the offense. And it's going to be fascinating to watch Rob in this offense. I think that is like one of the big things is just seeing how he kind of fits with TJ, with Brandao, and obviously with Rambo. I'm very intrigued to see how it all works with the Whips and Rob Pennell.
I think we're all intrigued to see how this is going to work.
I'm more intrigued than Poppy on Highly Questionable.
Stop it.
See, I'm very intrigued.
That's almost impossible. Homie's intrigued by everything. But it's one of those things where I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about them. Other than I think they're going to miss out on the playoffs by one game. I don't know, dude. I don't have any real
the biggest question mark
opinion
of established teams. Like Redwoods and Chaos are kind of like in their own space because new coach, new situations. The Whips are like over here in the Venn diagram where it's like they're established. They have one of the greatest coaches of all time, still have a prolific defense, still have a very good goalie, still have awesome weapons. But it's like, what are they now? Coming off of a championship loss, do they have the championship game hangover? Like, there's so many variables, I think, for the Whip Snakes this year, more so than almost any other team.
Like, I almost feel like this is gonna sound crazy. Like, okay, Scooby-Doo. I almost feel like they're chasing this monster. They think it's the Whip Snakes. At the end of the season, they're gonna catch him, pull off his hood, and it's really the Chrome. You know what I'm saying? It's really like last year Water Dogs. Like they're literally last year Water Dogs. That's what I feel like they're going to be. A team that like on paper and like optics and everything has all the pieces, but for whatever reason can't close it out. Can't win the games they need to, can't get where they need to. I don't know if they're going to be as like 1-9 bad, but just something about what they have there doesn't seem right.
Water Dogs went 2-8. They beat the Atlas in that last game.
My bad. I forgot we went 3-6 or 3-7. Just dumb.
The Chaos. Blaze was very welcoming of this next chapter, which I think is super important when you are a superstar, future Hall of Famer, best at your position type player on a team that outside of your position and the guys in front of you for the most part had insane turnover from years prior. The fact that Blaze feels very bought in, the fact that there's something about Roy Colsey that I just love. I think that dude is going to be an awesome head coach in this league. And I know we're questioning a lot about the Carolina Chaos right now because it was such drastic turnover so quickly. And there's a lot of new faces on that roster. I genuinely think, not that I think they're going to be these world beaters. They're not going undefeated. But I do think Roy Colsey is such a dynamic head coach. He's bringing in guys that fit his system that we haven't seen at the pro level yet. So we can't even question, like, how do these guys end up on a roster versus other guys? There's also some under-the-radar moves that they have made, and we were talking about it before we started recording, like the fact that they were able to pick up Jackson Eicher post-draft is something that doesn't get talked about enough. We're going to see JJ Silstrop, who was an awesome player at Denver, get an opportunity. We're going to see Josh Zawada play at his natural position and get an opportunity to play full-time in this attack group. Chris Aslanian is a proven veteran in the midfield, can rip 2 bombs. They added Cross Ferrara after he got dropped by the Outlaws during cuts. I don't know. I'm like pleasantly like optimistic about what we're going to see because it is so unknown from Carolina. But like we know their defense is going to be good. We know Blaze is going to be Blaze. But like I'm having an open mind when it comes to watching the Carolina Chaos this year. It's even more so like house money because it's year 1 of this project with Roy Colsey and Spencer Ford. And I think they're going to be a team that, for better or for worse, you're going to have fun watching them. I think we are vastly underestimating, like, this team is still filled with talented guys, and they're going to play their hearts out. They're playing for spots in this league to showcase their talents. That's motivation in and of itself for a lot of these guys that year in and year out, we haven't seen them on rosters consistently. I'm like going in with an open mind when it comes to the Chaos this year.
I mean, you should.
I think Chaos fans should. Like, I know it sucks that you lost your franchise players. I get that. But like, this is a chance to just like embrace this new era, new coaching staff. You have a GM who has won any team he's touched. They found a way to win. And again, I'm not saying Carolina's going to win the title this year. But like, go into this year with an open mind, enjoy the players that are on this roster, and you're going to see some fun lacrosse. Like, Josh Wada is a very fun player to watch. DJ will co-sign that 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sundays for you. Everything I've seen from Jackson Eicher from training camp clips, that dude's going to be a baller.
Which is why you should watch college ball.
That dude's going to be a baller. Dude is going to be a baller. Cross Farrar, we know, is a very fun player. And I think he fits Roy Colsey's system of what we're seeing on paper to a T. I'm excited for the Chaos this year. Like, they are going to be a team to just like put on, watch, and just see what happens. And I think in year 7 of the PLL, that's fun. We haven't had a team like that since year 1 of the PLL because we didn't know what to expect. Now we're getting it 6 years later. That's exciting.
I mean, hey, a lot of things could happen. All right.
What's the worst that could happen? You finish in last and you get pick number 1 to draft Joey Spallina?
Yeah, probably.
At the end of the day, that ain't that bad either.
Or do you actually want to know what's the worst possible thing that could happen? Your team could choose to win that game that they have no business winning, and then, you hand the number 1 pick to someone else.
What if the Redwoods are in that situation again? You want to talk about a generational DJ crash out?
Oh, if we're in that situation again, I do not in my mind even have a shadow of the doubt that Joe is calling Anthony Kelly like, hey, you're losing tonight, right? Like, don't make it look obvious, but make sure we don't win. No, it's not because Joey's my son, but it's because we need the number 1 overall pick, buddy.
Chase is going to be out playing in the field. Chase is going to be out of the goal playing in the field.
Chase is going to be in net.
I'm saying if they're blowing the game, they're going to pull him from the net, and he's going to be playing in the field. They're going to have Chase taking face-offs.
You're not catching my drift here.
Oh, I'm catching it. But if it's close at the end, they pulling the goalie. And not for the reasons y'all think.
If he's in the game, it ain't going to be close at the end. That's the point I'm making. Sorry. to
that
anyone
man ain't
who
never coming on this show. God damn.
My bad.
But I'm pleasantly optimistic about the Carolina Chaos and the New York Atlas. I don't know why I continue to have this weird feeling about them. Like, my gut is like, they're going to be very good. They're going to win the East. They're going to be prolific on offense. But there's this little, like, devil on my other shoulder in the back of my head that is saying, a lot could go wrong for this team, too. I don't know why, but them putting that graphic out about the midfielders being big just gave me, like, PTSD about the Redwoods always talking about that. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, like, I'm not going to say I won't be shocked if the New York Atlas aren't this juggernaut of a team. Like, they could go 9-1, they could go 8-2, but I'm also not going to be surprised if they end up going like 6-4. Because guess what? In the East, that probably still gets you into the playoffs. But you're below the fan and public perception expectation for what your roster can showcase. It won't shock me either. It's such a weird feeling because, like, everyone's like, oh, it's chalk. You know, they're going to be dynamic. This is like their year. They have the pieces to do it. The rich got richer. They drafted Matt Trainer, this, that, and the third. I don't know. There's a weird, like, part of me. Maybe it's in my kidneys. Maybe it's in my sciatica. I don't know. I'm old. But something is in my head saying, don't be shocked if the Atlas underperform this year too.
I don't know about underperform. Well, I guess underperform to some people's standards.
To the expectation that's like out in the public is what
because you know how I feel about regular season. I think it matters, but at the end of the day, you just got to get there.
Mm-hmm.
It matters enough to
get in the dance.
To get in the dance. Once you're there, it's a whole new season. 0-0s across the board. You only got to win so many games. That's what you're focusing on. So to me, as long as underperforming to me this year for them is not making the playoffs.
Right.
That's underperforming. Do I think they have potential to be the 1 seed in the East? Absolutely. And even as you heard in my prediction last week, I have Atlas going to the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't get there, I don't think they failed. I just think that they are finally in a position, coaching-wise, roster-wise, play-wise, everything-wise, to be in the championship game. But I don't see it being a failure unless they don't make the playoffs. But public perception, they definitely could underperform.
Miles also said that he's taking Matt Trainer under his wing. That's a guy that he likes his game. He said he reminds him a lot of Costabile, but has more twitch and he's more slippery. Those were the words that Miles was throwing around in terms of adjectives to describe Matt Trainer. But I do find that interesting too, that's a guy that Miles is like, yeah, you're coming with me. Like you're my guy. So definitely something to look out for with Matt Trainer's development is that he's going to be learning from Miles Jones. Pretty damn cool. We've got matchups this week. Before we get to our picks and everything, I want to talk to everybody about the PLL app. Deej, it's that time of year. PLL app season is here. PLL app season is all the time, though, because it is the most gamified, centralized, one-stop shop for everything regarding the PLL. Articles from the beat writers, press conferences, behind-the-scenes looks, content from the league, PLL fantasy, which if you're not in the OTB fantasy group, you're missing out. Join that. It's open to the public. Trivia. There's so much to do in the PLL app that you will get lost in it for hours. Download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store. And when you go to the redeem code section, use code OTBPOD. That's code OTBPOD to get 500 XP on your account. Again, download the PLL app, App Store, Google Play Store. Go to the redeem code section. Use code OTBPOD for 500 XP on your account. Deej, PLL Fantasy is here. We'll talk about our fantasy rosters when we get to picks and everything, but I'm excited for PLL Fantasy. But our matchups this week in the PLL, Friday night lacrosse gets things going. 6 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN Plus and on Disney Plus. This is one of my favorite wrinkles. Both games on Friday night will be available to stream on Disney Plus. A first for the league. I love that. Gets more eyes, ears, and fans in front of the PLL. The fact that it's going to be on Disney Plus is really, really cool. Season gets started, though. Albany, New York Atlas homecoming weekend. Carolina Chaos, New York Atlas at 6 Eastern. And then the nightcap, 8:30 Eastern, a little West Coast showdown. The California Redwoods and the Denver Outlaws. And then Saturday, 1 p.m. ABC, the Maryland Whipsnakes, the Utah Archers championship game rematch. And then at 7 Eastern on ESPN Plus, the Boston Cannons and the New York Atlas in a big-time rivalry matchup. As Asher Nolting said, this matchup has taken on the life of the traditional New York-Boston rivalries. They hate each other. It's going to be absolute scenes. I'm excited for that one. We'll see if Miles Jones and Asher get into it again like they did at Champ Series. What are you looking forward to from these matchups this weekend in Albany? Carolina, New York, California, Denver, Maryland, Utah, Boston, New York.
I'm really interested to see what kind of fighting attitude we get from Chaos. It's going to be our first look at the new team, but also it's an uphill battle. You're facing a team that is expected to be a juggernaut that's playing in their home stadium, and that's poised and ready. They kind of know what it's going to be like for them after doing this last year and having training camp right before their homecoming and all these kind of things. So they're going to be pumped up. They're going to be ready. They have high expectations, not only for themselves, but the public has them as well. And I feel like, Atlas is going to be ready, come out throwing punches like they did last year. Their homecoming last year, they scored almost 40 goals in 2 games. I could see them kind of having that same energy. And so it'll be interesting to see if Chaos is able to keep up at all and what kind of energy they throw at them. Really hoping to see Archers absolutely blow the Whips to smithereens. Not sure if that will be the case. As we know, they have great goaltending, great defense back there as well. And Nardella at the stripe always throws a monkey wrench in things. And then the nightcaps will be exactly what they are, nightcaps, making sure that the weekend goes the way it should by ending the night in the perfect way. A Redwoods win, hopefully. But really, I'm just excited to get a look at the offense. See this offense kind of have some more freedom and explode and celebrate and kind of be themselves for what might be the first time in a while, if ever. I don't even know if they were really all that good 2019 when they made it. I still kind of think the defense carried there as well. So I'll be looking for that. And then obviously the fireworks of Boston, New York should be exactly what they're expected to be come the end of the game or end of the weekend, Saturday night.
Yeah, like you said, it's like first impressions, for California and Carolina. So I'm excited to kind of see what they showcase to us in week 1 after being together for training camp and kind of piecing this puzzle together for the first time. I'm excited for the Outlaws. I think they are the team to watch this year. Like that is like a league pass type team. When you have the Tuaraton lineup, in that attack group, when you have sophomore season Graham Bundy, when you have junior season Sam Hanley, when you have Manley and Bernhardt running it back with JT Giles Harris, I think my biggest question mark for Denver this year is seeing what Luke Weirman does in year 2 with the faceoff stripe. And then is it Owen McElroy's job to lose. Is McNaney going to step in earlier than we expect? Like, that's my biggest question mark with the Outlaws. Every other position group that they have, they are stout. They are locked in. They have an incredible short stick room. You know, they added Zach Geddes in free agency, to Terry, to Alex Smith. Like, that group is prolific. Their midfield and attack group we've talked about ad nauseum on this show already. Their defense has been stellar, obviously led by JT Charles Harris in terms of just like prolific play. It's down to those aspects on special teams with Weirman and the goalie position that I'll definitely be looking at all season long to see how they kind of stack up against the rest, because every other position group they have, and that doesn't even mention their LSMs with Nick Grill and Jake Pacino, they can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the league. So that's going to be something to watch. Seeing how New York handles the 2-game weekend. Mike Pressler talked about it in his press conference. They were kind of the guinea pigs last year for the league, where you go out of training camp and play 2 games. They go 2-0 and find a way. Can they do it again? How do they kind of handle it this year, knowing what it takes, is going to be interesting. And you know, we get a championship game rematch, and it's almost a first impression for this Whipsnakes team with Rob Pennell, with another year of Drew Snyder coaching this offense. How do they stack up against a Utah Archers team that's looking to three-peat and really solidify themselves as a dynasty? And I mean, get your popcorn ready for 7 p.m. on Saturday, because Cannons Atlas is going to be fucking electric. Those two teams are going to fucking beat the ever-living piss out of each other. And I don't know if either of them have a bye in Charlotte. The Atlas do. I mean, you want to talk about leaving it all out there? If Atlas are able to do what we think they can in game 1, and then go blow for blow and just leave it all out there and beat the piss out of the Cannons in game 2, and Cannons go into another week, because the Cannons don't have a bye coming off of that. They got to go down to Charlotte next Saturday and play the Utah Archers on ABC.
Oh,
That's tough.
Oh,
that's tough.
That's actually that's especially because the Archers should be coming off a pretty sizable win.
Brutal. So that's going to be must-see television for sure. It's a new slate. Shout out Brian Tevlin. We're going to head over to the pick pond, and it is time for the 2025 season of PLL Pick'em that will feature picks from Brandon Hoots Hooten in our pick segment as well. It's the PLL Albany Picks of the Week, brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and Pittsburgh areas. You can also find Kenwood Beer at your local liquor stores in those markets. Again, that's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And as always, guys, please drink responsibly. And if you are choosing to ride with our picks, please gamble responsibly as well. Deej, it's another pick'em season, and we are here for the Albany picks. We start with game 1, and it is the Carolina Chaos and the New York Atlas kicking off the season. Hoots is going with the New York Atlas. Deej, your pick.
I'm gonna be honest here. I think this game will look very similar to last year's opening game for them. I think this whole weekend looks similar to opening weekend for them last year. They're gonna have success, and I think they win game 1.
Yeah, We got a clean sweep in game one. We're all going New York to get the dub in game one to start the season. Then we go to the nightcap. California Redwoods, the Denver Outlaws. Hoots is obviously going with the Denver Outlaws, being that he is a Denver guy. I am also going with the Denver Outlaws. I just like their offense a lot. And the big thing for me is I don't know how, like, Joe Spallina addressed it. Like, they know it's a question mark for them, the goalie position. And we've seen Owen play in the PLL. We haven't seen either of these guys for the Redwoods play full seasons in the PLL yet. So for that reason, I got to go with the Outlaws.
I know you ain't waiting for me to give you an answer.
Talk to the people. State your case.
State my case. There ain't no case to state. I mean, I said a lot of it. You heard me say a lot of this already. Mike Manley is disgusting for wearing 37. No beef, Mike, at all. No beef. You cool in my book, Mike. I promise. But that number is just oof.
He's showcasing what his age will be in July.
Clearly. But yeah, I'll pass on that. It may have something to do with what we thought he was going to do this offseason. But yeah.
He does wear 37 in the NLL too.
That's just nasty work. Not sold on Owen McElroy. He's got some nice things, but not sold on him. Jesse Bernhardt is also on the older side, right next to Mike Manley. And I do think TD has the advantage at the stripe over Luke Weirman. And teams that play with house money are dangerous. The Redwoods have jack shit to lose. So why not win a game? Of course I'm going to roll Wood. Of course I'm going to roll the Woods.
First differing pick of the pick segment here. We go to the 1 p.m. ABC game. It's the Maryland Whipsnakes, the Utah Archers championship game rematch. Guess what, everyone? We've got another clean sweep here.
Duh.
Hoots, myself, and Deej all going with the two-time defending champion Utah Archers.
All my homies hate the Whipsnakes.
Except our homies, Colin Squires, Joe Nardella,
They know who
Rambo,
Jim Stagnita.
Stags. I was just thinking players because I was like, "Ooh, shit, Chaney retired."
Yeah, he did.
But yeah, we're going to the art. There's just too many question marks right now around the Whips and just how they're going to flow offensively. We know their defense is good. We know Krebs is a high caliber goalie. Like, we know Nardella is a dog at the stripe. It's just a matter of the offense and seeing how the offense works. So knowing that we know how the Archers offense works, it's kind of a dead giveaway that we got to go with the Archers.
And I think the Archers have reached that realm that the Whipsnakes were in a couple years ago. When you're back-to-back defending champs, it's almost impossible to pick against you the first couple games of the next season. Because,
right,
I mean, you just have all those pieces there, and you've been playing so well for 2 straight seasons. Why wouldn't it continue for a third?
And then we go to the nightcap, the final game of the weekend, the New York Atlas, the Boston Cannons. Hoots is going with the Cannons. Deej, you kind of alluded to your pick, but let the people know how you see the New York-Boston rivalry game going down on Saturday night.
Them folks that live out in Boston are not gonna like me, but I got Atlas sweeping their homecoming again. I think that they have looked fantastic at home playing in Albany. They look like they enjoy playing there. They look like it's really a home game for them, and I expect that joy to continue this year.
I was going back and forth on this one for a while. because like we saw New York last year sweep their homecoming. We also saw them do that on the heels of Connor Schellenberger getting injured in game 1 last year and not playing in game 2. It's one of those things that I think the Cannons are figuring out a lot about like the way that they play and being more fluid and not kind of tunnel visioned to a degree. And I think they know that this game is going to be massive when it comes to the standings overall when we are at the end of the season looking at the playoffs, and they're going to take that into account. And I think it's going to be a very close. This could be the one overtime game of the weekend. If I had to make a prediction of overtime, it would be this game. This is going to be a battle. It's going to be, can Zach Tucci win 36% of his faceoffs against Trevor, who will have faced off in another game the night before? I think that's going to be a huge aspect of this. I am going with the Cannons. I think we're going to see a lot more parity with homecoming weekends this year, where we see a lot of 1-1 splits. It's going to be, it was last year, but it's going to be even more of a badge of honor if you sweep your homecoming weekend, because it is going to be so tough to do. But I am going with the Boston Cannons to win a close game against the New York Atlas. So to recap, we all have the New York Atlas in game 1 against the Chaos. Hoots and I both have the Outlaws. Deej has the Redwoods. We all have the Archers coming away with a victory against the Whipsnakes. Hoots and I both have the Cannons. Deej has New York coming out with a sweep in their homecoming weekend. And those are our PLL Albany picks of the week, powered by Kenwood Beer. It's crazy. Another week is here. Another PLL weekend is here. Last bit here. It is brought to you by our friends at 47. Guys, we love 47 here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. It is our go-to hat and apparel of choice. And guess what? The now national champion Cornell lacrosse team, 47's got apparel and merchandise for you. Celebrate the national champions the correct way by repping 47. T-shirts, hats, all available to rep the new national champions in college lacrosse. Use our link in the description to shop with 47, shop the Cornell collection, and get free shipping on all orders when you join the 47 family. It's that simple. Get free shipping, all orders, when you use our link to shop with 47. And we thank 47 for being a proud partner of the pod. What did I say?
No. I got a $460 payment from Michigan unemployment. And I'm trying to find out why, because I'm not unemployed. And it's like, do I call them and tell them that they pay me some money I shouldn't have got? Or should I just be like, that's the government fault? Like, with the way these tariffs hitting, do I even want to say something?
Now, if I was you, I wouldn't have exactly voiced that on an open platform podcast, but that's just
well,
me.
If I was you, I would, I don't know, edit that out of the open podcast.
It's almost 2 hours into the John. The government ain't listening that deep.
I swear to God, they're not. They cut us off 3 minutes in. They was like, they pulled the meme like.
That's a Marino meme. Oh, that's too good. That's too good. But as we mentioned, shop that Cornell collection, because Cornell are 2025 NCAA national champions. They take down the Terps, get a little revenge from a couple of years ago when CJ Kurtz was just a wee lad, and They're partying like it's 1977 at Cornell, doing the damn thing. CJ Kerr's popping up on Pat McAfee. Hell of a performance. It was back and forth, like very entertaining game. And that's coming from me, who hates a lot of aspects of the college game. But in the end, CJ Curse was just inevitable. A sock trick in the national championship with allegedly a broken hand, and put on a performance that will live in NCAA championship game history forever, and brought Cornell back to prominence and being national champions.
I mean, it won. What a phenomenal season they had, dropping the one game that they lost by a goal, I believe, in overtime or in the last second to that game. They were unreal all year, led by CJ Kirst. But it was the unselfish play of everyone. No one really cared whose night it was. No one really cared that they had to do the dirty work. Everybody on the team wanted to get up a gritty ground ball. Everybody wanted to get cause a turnover in the ride back. Everybody wanted to dodge hard to either open up a shot for themselves or the guy next to him. Everybody wanted to communicate to make defense easier. Everybody wanted to clear at a high percentage. Like, you could tell that their team was very focused on the mission all year of being the best college lacrosse team in the nation. You could tell 2022 was still fueling this team and being so close, but just not close enough. And you could also tell that when they saw they were going to play Maryland, they were excited. They were like, yes, we actually get to get our true revenge for 2022. We get to come back and see the same team, or a very similar team to what we saw a couple years ago when we were close. And then they were able to grasp it. And it was a complete explosion by CJ Kirst that caused it, even with a broken hand. Huge props to him, or whatever hand injury he has. I don't want to say it's broken because I don't know.
Allegedly.
But I mean, and it wasn't like his hand was not being beat on. Schaller absolutely destroyed his hand every time he touched the ball. And CJ just fought through it. And that embodied the type of attitude that the Cornell Big Red had this entire season. And I think it started all the way at the top. Connor Busick is that kind of guy. He doesn't care what it's going to take. He's going to play with grit. He's going to play with passion. He's going to play hard. And he's passing that down through his coaching. Not only is he the youngest coach in college lacrosse, he is by far one of the best coaches in the nation right now. And you could see it with how Cornell played lacrosse all season long.
For people watching on YouTube, I was just reenacting Connor Busick dislocating his shoulder and then going absolute sicko mode in 2019 during PLL season. Also, like, I know he retired early from the PLL to go coach at Cornell full time. I did not realize Connor Busick and I are the same age.
Yes.
That's just absurd.
Yes.
I love that shit, because if you know me, I got into the Premier League this season. My team, Brighton and Hove Albion, up the Albion, baby. Our coach, Deej, he's 32. He turned 32 during the season. He's the youngest Premier League coach full-time in the history of the Premier League. So I love that shit. The fact that Busick's my age makes me love that Cornell won that much more, because it shows that, young coaches can fucking get the job done. And Connor Busick, he's an alum, which makes it that much cooler that he was able to get the job done at his alma mater. That dude lives, breathes, sweats lacrosse, and wants his guys to be as successful as possible. And I'm so happy for him. He is somebody that, we got to work to get Connor Busick on this podcast, because I feel like he's got stories for days. He's just a lax rat, and what an absolutely incredible coaching performance. Like you said, not just in the championship game, but the entire season this year, to put Cornell not that they were ever off the map, but put them in the limelight of like, yeah, we're a powerhouse. Like, look at us. We came, we saw, we conquered, and we're walking away with hardware this year. And I mean, just an incredible season. And, you know, I am of the belief that like comparison culture has like pilled sports fans to an unrepairable degree. The way, like, we don't need to compare 2022 Maryland, 2024 Notre Dame, and this year's Cornell team to be like, who's the greatest ever? No, this Cornell team is fucking great. Like you said, they lost one game in overtime. The rest of the way, they're winning games week in and week out. They win the national championship. Their best player, allegedly, broken hand. Like, they won the semifinal, and CJ Kurse didn't record a single point. Like, if you want to talk about greatness, that's a team that their best player was shut out from the fucking box score, but the rest of the guys went out and performed, picked up the pieces, and elevated the team to victory to get to the national championship stage. That, to me, is greatness. That, to me, is like all-time performance. I don't care about the past. I don't care about comparing the teams. To me, that showcases this was a complete team. And guess what? Reminder, everyone, newsflash. Lacrosse, last time I checked, last time Deej checked, team sport.
Yeah, absolutely a team sport, but also I don't like comparing championship teams because their seasons are all so different, and you can't replicate that team, that success, any of those things again to be able to really play it out. Like, you couldn't re-put Notre Dame through its championship season, put it through the regular season, and put it through the first 3 games I think you play between opening round and Final Four and championship game, and then do the same thing to this year's Cornell team and then have them meet in the championship. It's not possible. No. Let these teams stand for what they are. I think the greatest thing about a champion at the end of the sports season is it tells the story of the season. You can go back and look at that team and go, okay, this team was the best. This is who they beat in the playoffs. This is who else made the playoffs. This is who they all beat during the regular season. And you can kind of see the entire picture unfold right in front of you. But if you are taking that joy away by trying to pin them against other champions, now you're taking a whole season away. Mm-hmm. Because now if this team is deemed not as good as a champion from another year, this whole season of lacrosse means nothing now. Mm-hmm. Because the best team in that year isn't better than the best team in another year. Let them stand individually. Let them be what they are. And then we have history and memories and records and all of these things to go back on for years to come. But when you start comparing, you start dropping off years, and then those years never really come back into conversations.
We're so comparison pilled as sports fans. My timeline this week showed me comparing prominent player injuries in a national championship game. I said, what are we doing?
We compare everything.
We have lost the plot when we're comparing Pat Cav's demolished knee and his Achilles and everything else that was messed up in that leg, allegedly, to CJ Kurse alleged broken hand. We're going celebrity death match with player injuries now. Like, what are we doing? We have severely lost the plot in that aspect. And I was just like, holy shit, we're going injury for injury now to determine what team was better, what performance was better. How about we just appreciate the fact that CJ Kurse balled out on the national stage, the fact that Pat Cav balled out on the national stage, the fact that 2022 Maryland balled out on the national stage, and all 3 of those teams can be deemed fucking great. Because guess what? In the years that they won, the years that they competed, they were the best to do it. They, at the end of the day, go down in the record books for that year as the best team in college lacrosse. That's what matters to me at the end of the day. I think to a lot of normal people at the end of the day, that's what matters. 2025, we're all going to remember it was CJ Curse and the Big Red and Connor Busick's Cornell lacrosse team that were the best to do it in 2025.
And let's not forget about UNC and Chloe Humphrey.
Facts.
They were the best to do it on the women's side. She was the best to do it. She will go down as one of the best to ever do it. She may go down as the best as far as the college game goes. She has some huge shoes to fill. But the first step was, I don't know, winning the Tewaaraton as a freshman, something nobody has ever done. Checks notes. On either side, men or women, no one has ever won the Tewaaraton as a freshman. Chloe Humphrey walks right in and does it. She's unbelievable. UNC was unbelievable this year. There weren't too many people who thought anyone else even had a chance at the championship after watching UNC play. I got a chance to watch them a few times. I can almost agree with that sentiment. There were very few teams that had a legitimate chance of beating UNC this year. Chloe Humphrey and her sisters were a huge part of that, and she still has so long to go. Very similar to Cornell. I mean, Cornell still has talent that's going to be left on this team. CJ Curse was a huge part of that, but they still have a lot of guys that are returning, and they're going to continue to be one of the best teams in the country because, I mean, it's Cornell, it's an Ivy League, and they have Connor Busick. So they're going to continue to get top-end talent and find themselves competing for, a spot on MDW consistently.
Do you know how barrier breaking this UNC women's lacrosse team was this year, Deej?
Insane.
I'm going to drop something on your head that I don't think you're ready to process in your brain. We're sitting at the dinner table this weekend, and Sarah and Matt are over. If you don't know, Sarah is my sister, Matt, my brother-in-law. Sarah, out of the clouds, Deej, and you know Sarah, out of the clouds goes, North Carolina's women's lacrosse team won the national championship, and they have 3 sisters on the team, and they all got to win a championship together. That's so cool. We weren't even talking about lacrosse, and my sister knew that about the UNC women's lacrosse team. That's how barrier... For reference, my sister doesn't know a lick about lacrosse. Doesn't pay attention all that much, if at all, to the sport, to my knowledge. But knew that there were 3 sisters on the national champions. That's how barrier breaking this UNC women's team was this year. That my sister knew exactly that the Humphrey sisters were on this team and won a national championship together.
Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy.
It's wild.
That's wild. She knows literally zilch.
She knows ball, apparently. Allegedly.
She know what?
She knows ball when it comes to the UNC women's national champions.
Dog, it stumbled across her timeline.
I was impressed nonetheless.
Impressive that she took the time to stop, really look at it, read it, bank that.
Which my sister reads.
Bank it. I know she read. That's not the part that ain't the part. She stored it, banked it, and brought it back up when she saw you again.
Out of the clouds.
The
and
only
it wasn't
part
even directly to me. She brought it up to Matt.
The only part that makes it a little expected is it's the women's side.
And
Sarah is in fact a big girl's girl.
Yes. And my sister also big sports fan. My sister pays attention to sports. Lacrosse is just not in her everyday lexicon of sports consumption. But I was like, holy shit, this team is that prolific that my sister even knows. UNC won the national championship. Because also, we come from an area that college sports are not prominent. It's not like the Midwest. It's college sports are not paid attention to in the tri-state area the way they are in other parts of the country. So it's on top of that. She knew UNC won the women's lacrosse national championship, and she knew that there were 3 sisters that won a title together. I was thoroughly impressed. But congrats to UNC. Congrats to Cornell. What a season of college lacrosse in the books.
And congrats to CJ Kirst and Chloe Humphrey.
Bang!
As they both took home the Tour-a-thon. So
rightfully so.
Makes sense. Totally. They both had amazing seasons. Both ended up being champions. Both had crazy playoff performances to prove why they were the best player in the country. I don't think there were any surprises. I think it was a little bit of a closer battle on the women's side. I think there were a couple of seniors and upperclassmen that really could have given Chloe a push. But when you look at what Chloe did this year, breaking the freshman UNC record at 90, I think that might even be close to an NCAA record, if not breaking the NCAA freshman record. That's huge. And it's hard to deny celebrating and giving the proper respects for that kind of work.
I am fact checking you real quick just to. She did set the single season 90 goals.
Lovely. I knew I knew ball.
Look at that.
But I didn't say that. I didn't, because you can't say that you know ball yourself. Got to let the people say it.
Hey, Offset, you know ball.
You not the people though. Sorry,
you didn't say it.
I know, but you not the people. Like they would expect you to say that I know ball because we're on the podcast together, and it's got to be the outside people.
You lucky a certain somebody not close enough.
You know ball.
Yeah, dickhead, you fucking know ball, bro.
What you do with Danny? Why he ain't close?
Well, it is 2:15 in the morning.
Yeah, he might be asleep.
Zonk the fuck out. Dreaming of cheesesteaks and fucking Cooper Sharp.
That's what I'm dreaming of.
Big facts. That is all we've got on this one. DJ, any final thoughts before we head into Albany weekend and another PLL season gets underway?
Excuse my language. Roll them damn woods.
Roll thy damn woods. Sounds like some Game of Thrones call to action.
Literally spot on.
Rolleth thy damn woods. I love that I get a stress-free weekend. I get to just be chilling. I get to be national media pundit, just taking it all in. I'm excited. I love PLL season. It's the best. It's so much fun. And PLL After Dark, baby. It's here. Saturday night. I really, really hope we have a Saturday Night Lacrosse theme song.
That would be lit.
I really hope we get a Saturday Night Lacrosse theme song, because when Paul put that graphic out on Twitter,
Method Man,
with all the TVs, I mean, I'll take a Method Man theme song. But when he put that graphic out with all the TVs, which our guy Matt DeLuca featured in that, John, I was like, "Ooh, we're cooking with gas right here. This is gonna be something hype." So I hope we have a fun theme song for Saturday Night Lacrosse, because it's needed. If you're gonna make it a spectacle like it is, you need theme music. That's all we got for you guys. Make sure you're following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow DJ SCS_next great. Follow me, KBIZZL311. Follow Hoots at Hoot Sports Media. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star review. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Leave a like on the video. Drop a comment in the comment section. Click that bell icon so you know whenever new videos go live. Join the OTB fantasy group in the PLL app. We will tweet it bright and early in the morning so you can join. We want as many people in that, John, as possible. So join the fantasy group on the PLL app. And be sure to visit Shootout For Soldiers website, shootoutforsoldiers.com/events, to find out how to get involved, donate, volunteer, register for an event upcoming. San Diego, California this weekend. Should be an absolute blast of a time. But find out more information, shootoutforsoldiers.com/events. And be on the lookout on the socials this coming weekend because we have a very fun announcement coming for the people for the month of June that Deej, I think in one way, to spoiler no context, it's pretty sweet.
Yes, it is.
Very, very excited. So stay tuned, like Monday morning. Stay tuned to the socials because we got something sweet coming to the timeline. But this has been episode 377 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, number 11 Philadelphia ranked, and of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Deej, I'm KB. Enjoy this weekend of PLL action. We'll see you right back here next week, getting ready for Charlotte weekend. Chaos homecoming. Going to be pretty chaotic. Get those drums ready to bang. But until then, we will catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.